challenge almost every business faces, and that challenge is that there is a gap. What you know about your customers and what actually happens when you speak to them. So those conversations, the calls, the follow-ups, the messages, those are often living somewhere completely separate from your customer data, and that gap is costing businesses more than people actually realize. So that's what we are here going to talk about today. So let's get into it. So I'll be beginning this by introducing you all to our speakers. First, I'm really glad to welcome Aparna Sankar. Aparna is a partner account manager at Zoho Corporation, and she's been with Zoho for over 7 years now. And what I think makes Aparna perspective so valuable is that she has not just been advising businesses from the outside. She's been in key account management herself. She's been working directly with companies, seeing firsthand what works and what breaks down when it comes to managing customer relationships. So 7 years of that experience shapes how she thinks, and I think you'll feel that in how she talks about this today. So Aparna, it's great to have you here. Would you like to say a quick hello to everyone?
Sure. Hello. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to meet you all, and looking forward to have this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Aparna. And joining us from KrispCall today, we have Mandipa Pandey, Senior Sales Executive at KrispCall. And Mandipa is here at KrispCall since 4 years, and she's been helping businesses improve how they sell and engage with customers through cloud telephony. And what's particularly relevant today, her specific expertise is the Zoho KrispCall integration, and she's been hands-on with real deployments, helping actual teams close the gap between their phone conversations and their CRM. So she'll be speaking from her experience. So Mandipa, hello, welcome, and we're really glad to have you here with us today. Hello, Mandipa. Hello.
Hi, sorry about that.
Okay.
So, hello, my name is Mandipa. I have been with KrispCall for the last 4 years, and there is something wrong with the video. Okay. So actually, it's pleasure of mine to be here. And like I said, I have been here for the last 4 years. And of course, I have been closely involved in customer interactions, lead generation, and building relationship through direct conversation, especially in virtual and remote sales environment. I'm excited to share more practical insight from my experience, particularly around how conversation influence customer experience and sales outcomes, along with, of course, CRM and cloud telephony integration. So looking forward to a great session with all of you.
Thank you, Mandipa. So before we dive in, let me quickly just see. Okay, so we have people in our audience today. We have almost from all the sectors. So I guess we can start now. So I'll be starting with the Aparna. Let's start with a big picture. Customer service, customer experience gets talked about a lot these days. But I would love to hear it from your perspective, Aparna, especially through the lens of what you have actually seen working with accounts over the years. So why do strong customer relationships matter so much for business growth?
Sure, Swastika. I can brief you on that. So here at Zoho, we view customer relationships as the bedrock of any sustainable businesses. And when we talk about a connected customer experience, we are really talking about the trust and the consistency behind it. So in today's market, a strong relationship means that the business understands the customer journey, and right from the first touch point to the latest support ticket. So this deep understanding is what drives the retention, and it takes the trust and the word of mouth growth, and thus making it a critical focus for any company to scale. And when you take small businesses, for example, every customer relationship is matters, right? Right from like they don't, because they don't have the luxury of volume, like absorbing the bad experiences. So the repeat customers and the referrals are their lifeblood. So they need to really focus on the customer experiences. And when it comes to the large enterprises, the challenge is a bit different. So, but here also the scale introduces fragmentation, right? So there will be hundreds and hundreds of touch points across various departments, and the customer still expects to feel like a seamless relationship. It's not like there are 20 people, stakeholders focusing on that. And regardless of size and the scale, businesses which invest in understanding their customers tend to grow faster. And this is not only because they build the loyalty, they also focus on the value that they bring to the customers. So as such, the bar for the customer experiences have gone up really high. And right now, the customers are expecting the certain level of personalization, whether they are dealing with a 10-person company or even if it's a 10,000-person organization. Yeah.
Yeah. That point about fragmentation really hits home, and hundreds of touch points, and the customer still expects to feel like one relationship, and that's a genuinely difficult thing to pull off. So, and a big part of why it's so hard is that so many of those touch points are conversations that are not being captured anywhere, so they're just gone, right? And that brings us perfectly to the next part of what we want to talk about today. So again, Aparna, businesses are collecting enormous amount of customer information, leads, it be contacts, support history, deal stages, and it just keeps growing. And managing all of that without the right system in place is genuinely overwhelming for businesses. So my next question would be, how do CRM and help desk system help businesses actually make sense of all of that? And more importantly, make it useful for the people who are talking to customers every day.
Okay, sure. So when you take the data, right, like there's a sheer amount of like enormous data which is being collected right from the initial leads collection to the complex support tickets. This can be a bit overwhelming if it's not centralized. So the CRM and help desk systems act as a single source of truth. So this allows the team to categorize the information effectively, and ensuring that every department and every a team, whether it's sales or support, is looking at the same data set. So our organization eliminates all the silos, and it ensures that no customer detail falls through the cracks. So a CRM can tell you who the customer is, but it's only the conversation which tell you how they feel. For example, their tone and their urgency, the frustration behind a issue, or even an excitement behind what is actually happening. So when it comes to the small businesses, the phone call is often where the deals are made or lost. And for enterprises, the relationships are maintained at scale. So when it comes to the account management calls or escalations or handling it, or a renewal process, all these challenges, they show up very differently. So a small business might lose track of a conversation because nobody wrote it down. But when an enterprise loses it, like it's buried across all the departments and two, three systems. And at every level, the conversations are the connective tissue between the data in the CRM and in the real world human relationships. So, yeah.
I love that framing, Aparna. And, a CRM tells you who the customer is, but I believe conversation tells you how they actually feel. So that's a really important distinction. When someone from the team is on a live call, or replying to a message in real time, how much does it change things to have that customer context right there in front of them inside the CRM?
Yeah. So when a team member is on a live call or they're answering a message, they shouldn't be actually hunting for information in 10 different tabs, right? So the data should be instantly available in the CRM to give a more personalized and an effective conversation. So this means that the customer agent actually knows like where is the customer from and what is their history, and this will reduce the friction, and the customer feel also feel valued that they are not just another ticket number.
That's true, so
Yeah.
true, Aparna. Like nobody wants to feel like a ticket number, right? And most businesses genuinely want to give that kind of experience to their customer. But the problem is that the information that would make it possible is often sitting somewhere else, and that is more often completely disconnected. So let's get honest about what actually looks like and what it costs. So, Aparna, this one I think a lot of people in today's audience are going to recognize immediately. What about what customer conversation happen outside the CRM? A call that never gets logged, follow-ups that goes completely uncaptured, or what does that actually do to a sales or support team who are trying to maintain a complete picture of the customers?
Yes, Vastika. Like this is one of the most common points that we see, like the disconnected systems. So when a conversation happens outside that CRM, the data is essentially dark. So we don't have any idea about how the connected systems are in place. So the sales team will lose context on what the support team has promised, and the support team will not know whether the customer is in need of a high value renewal. So all this lack of visibility prevents the teams from maintaining a complete 360-degree view of the customer. So this often leads to repetitive questions and a frustrated user experience. So here, let's see how this actually happens, right? So when you end up with a blind spot CRM, you can see the data, but you can't see the conversations which shaped it. It's more like reading a book with chapters missing. So the sales forecasting becomes a guesswork. So if the calls and follow-ups are not logged properly, the managers can't see the pipeline health accurately. So when the key accounts are being managed by multiple team members across departments, there's obviously is going to be a gap in the conversation history, and this can mean like there'll be many conflicting messages to the same client. So this erodes the trust faster. And the handoffs will also become very risky. So when someone goes on leave or like they leave the company itself, the relationship context walks out with them. So for a small business, they might lose a very critical information or a very critical account. And for an enterprise, they could lose the entire visibility of a certain territory. So, lastly, I feel like the support teams suffer the most when the data is essentially outside the CRM, because the customer calls on about like an ongoing issue, and the agent will not have any account of the previous calls. So this frustration compounds, and when the customer is a high value enterprise client, and they are expecting a white glove service. All this adds up, and these are the challenges that we are currently, facing if the conversations happen outside the CRM system.
You know what I like the most when you said the book with chapters missing. That is such a clear way to put it. And the scary part is that most teams don't even know which chapters are gone. And
Yeah.
now this is exactly the problem that cloud telephony and Zoho KrispCall integration specifically is designed to solve, right? So let's shift gears and talk about what modern phone systems actually make possible. We've now established the problem really clearly. Now let's talk about the solution side, because I think there is still a lot of confusion in the market about what cloud telephony actually is, and how different it is from the traditional phone setups that most businesses actually grew up with. So Mandipa, let me bring you here in. A cloud, a lot of businesses are still on traditional phone systems. So can you walk us through what cloud telephony actually is, and what makes it possible that the traditional setup simply can't do?
Absolutely, Swastika. Like you said, traditional phone system are more like those kind of systems that rely on physical infrastructure tied to a location, while cloud telephony system runs entirely over the internet. The provider hosts the system and the team accesses it via apps or a web dashboard, eliminating the need for the on-site hardwares as well. So in practice, this actually brings major advantages. Imagine like working from anywhere. Your teams can make or receive calls from laptops, mobiles, or maybe not just office desk specifically. This is especially valuable for remote and distributed teams. Everyone stays connected on the same business numbers, and there would be smarter call handling. Features like IVR or the call routing or queues are built in. So the calls are automatically going to right department to right agent based on the rules, or reducing, let's say, reducing the transfer and wait times as well. So the built-in tracking system actually helps all the calls that's incoming or outgoing being logged, recorded, and analyzed. Manager gets a proper visibility, a more clearer visibility into the call volumes or the responses times, as well as the performance of that particular agent. It actually improves more service and accountability as well. And the integration part, there comes the major part that actually is integration. It's very easy with every tools, be it CRMs or other kinds of tools, let's say, that can be integratable. Cloud telephony, when integrates with those CRMs or those help desks, it actually helps the customers. Whenever somebody calls in, the history pops up, and this actually keeps conversation contextual instead of being repetitive, right? And the scalability is actually very, very easy. You do not require additional equipments, you do not require additional hardware. It's just a few clicks and it's done. And similarly, the maintenance cost is really, really low. Since the costs are usually subscription based, it's more predictable. So technically, cloud telephony systems are turning calls into a more flexible, data-driven system rather than a fixed utility, helping businesses handle conversation more efficiently, more consistently, and more intelligently.
I guess that's a very clear way to put that out. And on the CRM side, Mandipa, specifically, how does cloud telephony help businesses actually manage those conversations across a platform like Zoho? Or, what does that connection look like in practice?
That way, when cloud telephony system, let's talk about directly with KrispCall and Zoho. When KrispCall is connected with Zoho, it turns calls from isolated events into a part of continuous and trackable customer conversation. It actually becomes very, very powerful. The cloud telephony system itself, it becomes far more effective, right? And when calls are automatically logged with details like duration, recordings, outcomes, creating a reliable interaction history without any manual effort. When customer calls in, like I said, the profile instantly pop-ups, gives agent a full context. Now they can continue the conversation seamlessly. They do not need to ask a client's multiple questions. The client do not need to repeat themselves. Features like click to call seamlessly streamlines the workflows. And the post-call automations, ensures timely follow-ups, and reduces missed opportunities. All communication, calls, message, emails, notes, everything is centralized. And that actually improves your team collaboration. Every person, be it for you, an employee 4 years back or just 4 months back, they are looking into the same information, same profile that actually brings consistency, right? And your team leads or your managers are looking into the same profile, same analytics within the CRM itself that actually monitor your performances and refine the processes. Overall, the integration actually leads to more personalized interaction, turns voice call into more structured and actionable data. So the conversation are not just happening, but are actually being managed actively and are being measured and improved over the time.
Yeah, Mandipa, that's a great way to explain it. So we can see now that it's not just about making calls from anywhere, right? It's about making every call count, because it's automatically captured, logged, and connected straight to the customer's record. That is a fundamentally different world from traditional phone system. And that brings us to the part I know a lot of you are really here for. So what does it actually look like when Zoho and KrispCall work together? So I would again go back to Aparna. So Aparna, from Zoho's side, what do what do businesses actually gain when Zoho integrates with cloud telephony solution like KrispCall, and what's the real change for the teams on the ground?
Yeah. So I agree with Mandipa about how she explained about all the centralization of the data. And I feel that that is one of the most first and obvious gain, that centralization and optimization of all the calls, like all the calls are logged and the contacts are matched, and the follow-ups are created all without manual effort. So this plays a very major role. And secondly, when the complete customer timeline, you have a view of all the emails, deals, support tickets, everything in one place. This is the 360-degree view I was talking about earlier. So the third is better decision making, right? So when you see all the sorts of call volumes, response times, and the conversation outcomes along with these data, you can spot certain patterns. And an SMB can discover that the leads set from a certain campaign needs more follow up. And when an enterprise might identify different response times in a particular region, and which are lagging and affecting the renewal rates. And fourth is the scalability. So the integration works the same way whether you have a 5 user organization or a 500, regardless of like all the workflows, automations. They also scale with you, and you don't have to rip and replace as and when it grows. So finally, the consistency. Okay. So every team member, whether they have been at the company for 3 years or 3 weeks or even 3 days, everyone will have the same access to the customer context. So these are all the advantages that I can think of when we integrate Zoho CRM and the cloud telephony risk call as well.
That point about consistency is huge, and especially I would say that especially for the growing teams. But before we move in, I would like to request all the attendees, if you have any questions, you can drop your questions in the chat box, and our speakers will be answering that at the end of the session, because we'll be having this Q&A session at the end. So um, I shall move in with our so now, Mandipa, I want to bring you in here because a lot of people watching today will be, asking themselves, okay, but how does this actually work in practice? So, how does a business go about integrating Zoho with KrispCall, and what does the day-to-day change actually look like once that the whole setup is done?
All right, Swastika, here actually Zoho integration with KrispCall is pretty easy and very straightforward. all you require, once integrated, of course, the real value comes how it transforms everyday calls into a structured relationship building interaction. So going step by step, all you require is log into your KrispCall account, then go to settings and integrations, integrations. And right over that, you'll find for Zoho, either Zoho CRM or Zoho Desk. Then you connect it. Click connect. It will ask for the authorization. Authorize your Zoho account and then accept it. Once it's done, you configure your settings, sync logging or the workflows or nodes, whichever it is. Once you do so, voila, KrispCall and Zoho integrated. Now, KrispCall is practically living within Zoho. Right after this is done, you can make or receive call directly from Zoho. Sending or receiving text message will be automatically from Zoho itself. And you can find your call logs, your voicemails, your information to and for all the notes and SMS within Zoho underneath the profile, client profile itself. All the contact will be synced both ways. And if you make any changes, of course, that will be reflected in the both ways as well. And if you need to see any call recordings or if you need to see the history or the conversation, you can just directly go to that customer profile. You do not need to open up KrispCall now and then. Like I said, KrispCall is practically living inside Zoho after the integration. And now you can also have a trigger-based workflows, the post calls, pre-calls, all of it from Zoho itself, right? Once it's done, like I said, I totally agree with Aparna when she said, yes, there would be 360 customer view. Yes, it is. Once it's done, you get to see each and every information, every context regarding that client on Zoho itself. Now you are not missing any conversations, right? There is no any leakage or leakage of the leads, or there is a also consistent follow-ups. There is more faster and smoother communication with them. There's more better team collaboration. That's actually day-to-day changes that occurs after the integration. If it was just cloud telephony, you are calling, somebody else called in a place, now the context would be lost. You do not know what was the last conversation with that client, or your colleague wouldn't know what was the last information your client shared, what was the last concern they expressed. But if the integration is successful, it's integrated already, in that case, you are looking all the information within the CRM itself. There will be better team collaboration. Everybody is looking into the same information. There will be consistent communication, right? And automation actually strengthens the relationship since you are logging the calls, you are creating leads right there, all this follow-ups are within the CRM is automated. This helps more your team to focus on more meaningful conversation instead of just admin work, manually going into it, manually logging into it. Rather, if I were there, rather put it aside, you go into more personalized and data-driven interactions. Now, your users actually can tell you the concern, you can log it up right there, and everybody and your team looking into the same information can approach, can help them resolve that issues more clearly, more seamlessly, and more faster, right? So with on the bottom line of this entire interaction, entire integration with KrispCall and Zoho, this actually helps you more help business get more centralized conversation, more real-time customer insights, and more automated and consistent engagement that ultimately leads to a stronger, more scalable customer relationship. Don't you think, Aparna? Don't you agree with me?
Yes, totally. Whatever you have said has completely made sense, and how the connected ecosystem and how the faster resolution helps in resolving all the customer issues. And we would love to see like how this integration can help a lot of businesses to stay and competitive, and how it goes in the future as well.
True that, Aparna, true that.
That's great. So we can see, by both of your explanations, that integration is both powerful and genuinely accessible, and it's delivering actual real results for teams right now. And I think it helps to make this concrete so just let's look at what this actually looks like in a real business context. So again, coming back to you, Mandipa, sometimes the best way to understand how something works is just to see it in action. So can you walk us through a real use case? an actual scenario where a business is managing phone interaction inside Zoho with KrispCall, you can just paint a picture, just what does it look like before and what changes after?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Swastika. So I can take a lot of examples like healthcare system, education system, real estate agencies, financial institutions, all of it. At this point, let me take the example of real estate agency that actually is using Zoho and KrispCall at the same time. Right. So real estate agencies typically handles high volumes of inbound property inquiries, a lot of calls, let's say, and frequent follow-up calls with prospect, coordination between agents and clients, and without integration, the calls are not logged properly. Leads get lost or forgotten. Agents lack context about previous conversation. They wouldn't know. And follow-ups might be more inconsistent. But after integration, the best part is the CRM would automatically capture all the leads. Somebody called in, let's say a potential buyer calls in about listing, KrispCall routes the call to the right agent. The number is matched or created in Zoho CRM itself, and the customer details instantly pop up on the agent's screen. Now they have more clear information. If there is a new lead, of course, a new contact can automatically be created. And similarly, conversation is tracked in a real time. So during the call, notes can be taken inside Zoho, call is recorded and saved, duration and outcomes are logged automatically. You do not require manual data entry, right? And the follow-ups will be more automated. Right after the call, a follow-up call task can be created, reminder notification can be set, a deal stage can be updated within the CRM itself. And with this, nothing, like literally nothing can slip through the cracks. And the team collaboration, like I said, becomes seamless. Every other agent, or let's say somebody called in, or let's say some other agent picked up the call. In that case, they would be seeing the full history. They would continue the conversation without repeating questions. That way, customer experience more professional and more personalized calls, right? And again, managers gain more visibility, a clear visibility and insights. They can monitor call recording for quality. They can track responses, times, missed calls, identify which leads are more engaged. So it would be more better coaching. And by the end of the day, more smarter decision would be made, right? And the business impact with this one, the real estate agency actually goes with more faster response to inquiries, better follow-ups, personalized conversation, and higher agent productivity that actually gives you a business growth that actually generates revenue for you, of course. So like I said, it also applies with other industries as well. So in simpler terms, use Zoho and KrispCall. Every phone interaction is captured, tracked, and acted upon, which directly translates into better customer experience and a higher business efficiency. Technically, we are talking about no mislead can be misled.
That's a
Right.
really that's really a tangible picture. So and you can see exactly how that changes the day for everyone on that team. Now I want to look forward a bit. So because the space is moving fast, so Aparna, Joe has front row view of where CRM technology is heading, right? As a CRM system evolves, with AI coming into the picture, predictive analytics of all of it basically. So how do you see businesses starting to use customer interaction data, like not just to understand the past, but to actually get ahead of what customers need?
Sure. Sure, Swastika. So we are definitely moving towards an era of predictive insights. And by analyzing all the interaction data, such as the call frequency, sentiment, and common support themes, the businesses can start anticipating the customer needs before they are even voiced out. So this shift allows for more strategic decision making, where the data tells you on what not just happened in the past, but how to proactively improve the relationship for the future. So when it's up to in 3 to 4 types. Like, so for example, Like if a high touch client suddenly stops interacting, the predictive models will flag the quiet churn. And this risk has been mitigated before even the contract cancellation arrives. So we can even match patterns by analyzing thousands of past journeys, and AI can identify a specific sequence of events. Like, for example, like there is three failed logins and one how to search, which usually precedes before customer support ticket. And there's also behavioral deviation, where a user typically spends like 30 to 40 minutes a week in a platform, but suddenly when it drops to 5 minutes, the system will flag a decreased engagement alert. So all these featured stagnation, and when we are identifying when a client is, stopped adopting the new features like before, uh, they see that the signals will radiate in a plateau, and which will be an indicator for a churn.
That's
So,
a yeah. Are you going to add something, Aparna?
no, no,
Okay, that's fine. That's a really compelling direction, I would say. From, reactive to predictive, that's a meaningful shift in how businesses can operate. So before we head into questions from the audience, I want to close with one question for both of you. And please, like this is basically the question for both the speakers. So if businesses want to stay competitive in the coming years, what is the single most important thing they should start doing today to improve, how they manage customer data and customer conversations? So maybe we can go with Aparna first.
sure. Uh, so the two to repeat, like the to businesses to stay competitive, uh, my advice today is to prioritize the integrations. So you don't need to like wait until the data is too fragmented to fix. So you can start by, ensuring that the communication tools and the data management tools are well connected. And you can start like centralizing all the information, which will give you the agility to stay competitive. So here's how you can do it, right? So you can start off by getting all your customer data in one place, and it doesn't have to be perfect on the day one. So you can first stop letting the information live in the silos. And then CRM is not just for big companies anymore. So the table stakes for any businesses which want to grow, they actually need a CRM. And for enterprises, the message is slightly different because you probably already have a CRM. But is it well connected with all your communication channels? So in this way, the sales team which making if a sales team is making a call outside the system, then you're missing the whole the half of the picture. And then look where your conversations are heading. So is any of the conversations being captured? Okay. If it's not, then should be the next priority. And regardless of the size, you should not underestimate the compounding value of the data, because every call that has been logged today, which will have a great insight in the upcoming 6 months. So suppose like there will be some calls which have lesser insights now, but this will be of a very huge value 6 months from now when you look back.
I totally
Yeah,
second that, Aparna. I totally second that. I totally do agree when you said integration is a priority. Actually, yes, business should start integrating their VoIP systems with CRM platforms, right? When they do so, the conversation becomes structured and actionable data. So everything is being automatically logged, recorded, and linked to the right customer profile. And that, let's say right now, it may not work, or sometimes the deal might not go through at that point in time. But that actually helps for future references, if so that we can reach out to that particular person. And centralization, of course, I agree with that. You need to centralize the entire communication, bring all your calls, emails, messages into one place so that nobody needs to repeat themselves. Automation of workflows also work, trigger follow-ups, reminders, and updates so that you don't miss any opportunities or improve your consistency. And focusing on the real-time context actually ensures your client being more personalized and you'd become more efficient, right? And prioritization and consistency and scalability is more important. Standardizing the process enables collaboration across teams, and you, not just you, actually, most of the business should adopt cloud-based systems that support remote teams, smart routing, and easy expansion without infrastructure limits. You need to have a system that grows with business. So what I'm trying to say here is if you need to use, let's say if our business needs to stay competitive, they need to centralize, automate, personalize, and analyze all of the data so that every customer interaction becomes more informed, more efficient, and more impactful. By the end of the day, again, growing business. All right,
That
Aparna?
is,
Sorry,
yeah,
Swastika, of course. I hope
no, no, no.
you agree with me as well.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, from both of you, that was a great insights, I guess, the attendees and businesses that have attended our webinar today can take. I would like to say that start today, don't wait for perfect setup, and trust that every call you log now is making your business smarter down the line, right? So that is such a clear call to action and strong note to close on. A very warm thank you to both of you. And I guess we can bring our audience now. We can, held this Q&A session now. So we've covered a lot of ground today, how customers' data and conversation work together, what gets lost when they are disconnected, and what it looks like when you actually fix that. So now we'd love to hear from you. So I guess I could see a few questions in the chat box. There's this question: how can we follow up with Zoho CRM in our business? So I guess that's a question to you, Aparna.
Yeah, sure. So, hi. So when you say if we want to follow up with Zoho CRM, like, can you explain which module that you're referring?
Um, if you're here in the call, then can you please add up the module that you're asking for, referring to?
Because there'll be a lot of modules like the contacts, and if you want to follow up with the leads or partners, like, yeah, we can definitely do that. And just a second. Yeah, so we'll wait for them, or we can even take this offline and ask them the question on an email.
Yeah, that's I guess that's great. If there are other questions collected from the attendees, I guess we can always answer that um, to our attendees and to all our customers. I guess I couldn't see any more questions in the list, so that brings us to the end of a really great session, and let me just bring the threads together. So we started by talking about why customer relationships are the foundation of any business that wants to grow, and how that challenges looks completely different depending on whether you are an SMB where every single relationship count, or an enterprise trying to make hundreds of touch points feel like one. And we talked about how CRM systems are supposed to be the single source of truth, but only if the conversation are actually making it in. Because as Aparna put it, a CRM without the conversation is a book without chapters missing. Oh, sorry, book with a chapter missing, right? And we saw what changes when you close that gap. When the phone system and CRM are actually working together, you get automation, full context, better decision, and data that gets richer over time. So the message from both our speakers was the same. Start today. You don't need a perfect setup, as we said earlier, and you just need to stop letting conversation go uncaptured. And a huge thank you to Aparna from Zoho and Mandeepa for bringing such a genuine insight and real world experience to this conversation. And it really made a huge difference. And I know our audience appreciated it. So a few things before you go. I would like to see how KrispCall integrates with Zoho CRM in action. There's a link in the chat right now to book a personalized demo. We're always there to walk you through exactly how it works for your team setup, your industry, your size. You just name it, and our team is there. And if you have questions after today, reach out to us. To our support team. We respond to everyone. And the recording of today's session will be in your inbox within 24 to 48 hours. And, so you can revisit anything that resonated with you. And thank you so much for all our attendees today, for being here. On behalf of KrispCall and Zoho, take care. Go build some great customer relationship, and we hope to see you at the next one. So thank you very much. Thank you, Aparna and Amandeepa. And again, a huge thank you to all our audiences today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much, Swastika.
Thank you.
Thank you, KrispCall.
Thank you, Aparna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mandeepa. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.